Shalom everyone, and today we're studying Parashat Re'eh. This parasha is can be found in the book of Deuteronomy, Dvarim, chapter 11, verse 26. ראה אנוכי נותן לפניכם היום ברכה וקללה. See, ראה means see, uh, which means it's part of it's Hebrew grammar is different than the English. See, it means I'm offering you to see uh, today the blessing and the curse. The blessing, that's verse 27, that you will listen to the mitzvot of the Lord your God, Hashem Elokechem, אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום. והקללה, 28, verse 28, and the curse, אם לא תשמעו על מצוות אדוני אלוהיכם, if you do not listen to the mitzvot of the Lord your God. Okay, so the main idea in this parasha we're going to see is about see, to see. And we know that seeing, it's like, yeah, most of us can see, but do we really see? Which means how many times in our lives we tell ourselves, how could I be so blind? Okay? Which means I saw with my eyes, but I didn't really see. Which means when we say to see, we're talking about the ability to see beyond just what the logic mind allows us to see. This is crucial because this parasha is about the issue of every one of us asking himself the question, how do I see? How do I know what decision should I make? Because do I really see what's going on? Who can see the development of the market, relationships, and so on, about the future? And what we really know, we don't really see. So what's left for us? And that is the topic of this parasha. Because what we read over here, let us try to understand, because if God is giving us a blessing and a curse, okay? And we ask this question many, many times, why should God give us a curse? And the answer is, we also discuss it many, many, many times. There must be a curse, otherwise the blessing does not have a meaning. There must be a night, otherwise the sunrise has no meaning. There must be sour and bitter, otherwise sweet has no meaning. There must be stupidity, otherwise wisdom has no meaning. There must be a failure, otherwise victory has no meaning. So we are in a world that has a purpose. And our job is to see and to see through realizing the purpose. When we do not realize the purpose, we would not be able to see what's in front of us. 100 people can look at the same picture, each one of them will see something else because we are wired differently. And as I quoted it many, many times, the one who really phrased it nice was Professor Daniel Kahneman. He got the Nobel Prize for that, and he wrote a book. He printed a book just a few years ago, just before he passed away. The book is called Noise, and he explains the inner noise in a person's mind and heart is so strong that we become blind when we come to realize, analyze what's in front of us. And therefore, you could be the most educated and experienced judge, but if the weather is not so nice, and he brings a whole list of stuff that make us see in a very, very destructive way, so we don't really see. so the writings can be written on the wall. However, we do not see. So the question is, how do we really see? And then here we have uh, an amazing explanation by Or HaChaim HaKadosh Rabbi Chaim Ben Attal, 16th century, born in Morocco, buried in Jerusalem. Uh, and his interpretation about this verse, the few things that is making it a little bit different than we see in the first reading. One of them, let's start. It gives few insights. Just one thing. Remember, we are reading always Parashat Re'eh during the month of Leo. Leo in Hebrew is Aryeh. Aryeh, different. You change the letter sequence in the word Aryeh, a lion. You get Re'iyah, sight, seeing. Okay, so you change the letters again. You get Yir'ah, awe, A-W-E, awe. These three words, Aryeh, Re'iyah, Yir'ah, the Leo, the sign of Leo, okay? Re'iyah, sight, and Yir'ah, awe. All of them are interconnected, especially in this month, and we will see how this is very crucial for our ability to realize what's going on around us, because as we learn, when you study Kabbalah, one of the first things you have to learn, I am not able to see. Whatever I see is just a shadow of the real, true reality. We can see only a fraction of that shadow, and from that fraction, we have to somehow extrapolate to what's really going on. However, we can see along our history as human beings something that is very simple. We can see infinite amount of human beings with a very, very strong background of study and wisdom, with a whole army of wise advisors making terrible decisions. For instance, Pharaoh, when he says that even when his wizards come to him and said, don't you know that Egypt is already finished? Let them go. Let the Israelites go before Egypt is finished. And Pharaoh cannot see. Why? And it says God, his heart was heavy, and every time he heard about God, he couldn't even, his heart became even heavier. The fact that we have a brain, a mind, that we analyze the information, we can even see the dots, but we connect the dots according to our own, let's say, agenda. How do we free ourselves from that agenda? How do we free ourselves from the uh, biased belief system that forces us to take the information that could be really clear? You know how many times we see it was written on the wall. How could I be so blind? But I didn't see the messages because I was not wired to see. My belief system did not allow me to see what was obvious to other people. How do we get out of this blindness? So there are few points that Or HaChaim HaKadosh Rabbi Chaim Ben Attal is bringing to us. One of them, when it says, Re anochi noten lifnechem. See, And then the word Anochi, which means in Hebrew, uh, me or I, but I never found a word like this in English. This, by the way, is the first word of the Mount Sinai revelation. Okay, when it says, I am the God, your Lord, it says, Anochi. In I am is Ani. So what is Anochi? So why using that word here in that phrase? So the Or Chaim HaKadosh is saying, Uvadech Remez, there's a hint. It's hinting for the words of the ancient sages, saying, Shekol Bnei Torah, whoever is Bnei Torah. What does it mean, Bnei Torah? People who devote their lives for the study of the Torah. What is the study of the Torah doing to you? It gets you connected to the tree of life. Etz Chaim hi lamachzikim ba. It is the tree of life for the ones holding on to it. So when you devote yourself, you commit yourself to the Torah and what the Torah is teaching, the message, the ideas, the commitment, the covenant. When you are into it, without any doubt, you become Ben Torah, a son of the Torah, but it means you are one of the people of the Torah. And what does it mean? Whoever is Ben Torah, whoever is one of the people of the Torah, Yesh lahem nitzotz mimoshe. He has within himself a spark of Moses' soul. And therefore, when you say that, אין צריך לומר הדור ששמעו מפיו שהם חלק ממנו. So the people who heard, who studied for Moses in the desert for 40 years, they were part of Moses because when you are really studying the Torah and you really do it with devotion, you connect to your teacher and you get the spark of the soul of your teacher that accompanies your journey and is joining your own soul in the journey. You are connected. So all of these people that devote themselves unconditionally to the study and the application of the wisdom of the Torah, they have a spark of Moses' soul. And therefore, when Moses says, Anochi, me, he means, he's like talking to himself. Because all Israel, who are the people of the Torah, they are part of Moses. They possess a spark of Moses' soul. It's not a possession in the negative, but in the positive. What's called in the Kabbalistic teaching, ibur. Ibur means like a pregnancy, which means a pregnant woman, she has her soul, but there is someone who is joining the journey to escort her, and that's the soul of her fetus, the fetus in the baby she's carrying. Same way, a person can have another soul joining the journey. And when we study the Torah with devotion, we can obtain a spark of Moses' soul. So Moses is basically talking to himself. He sees himself as a great soul of all the people of the Torah, above time, above space, and above all the limitations of logic, which means you are connected to Moses' soul when you study the Torah and you commit yourself by devotion to the wisdom of the Torah and all the wise people that were teaching, and therefore all of them who are really is connected to the Torah properly is connected to Moses' soul. Very important thing to notice. And therefore, when he says Anochi, he is giving in front of the Israelites that ability to see. Now, to see what? And then a few paragraphs later, he's saying, just to make it short, when you have the merit, you see, you see the message in the Torah, and it is a blessing because you see the message. While if you cannot see the message, a lot of people, they read the Torah and they see atrocities. They see um, they see mistakes. They see contradictions. They see inaccuracies. Why? They have an agenda. They have an agenda. They think they are somehow better than the Torah or whoever wrote it. You know what? I'm telling those people something like this. When you write a book that will have an effect over the history of humanity of such a magnitude for thousands of years, then I think maybe then I can somehow give some value to your opinion. However, who are you? You're trying with your very, very tiny, limited brain to criticize a document that has an effect over big majority of humanity to all kinds of, first of all, like how many people do not know about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, about Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Ezekiel? How many people never heard about Moses or King David or King Solomon? We are talking about billions and billions of people, even if they do not belong to the Abrahamic religions. The name, the stories of the Torah are all over the planet for thousands of years already. Now, you want to try and find uh, some kind of a mistake in the Torah. Who are you? Who are you? Like, you're nothing. How can you come and put doubt on such a book, such a legacy? It's not a book, and it's not just a legacy. The Torah has its soul of itself, and as we learned, it's connected to the soul of Moses, and everyone who's devoted to the study of the Torah has a spark of that soul. So you're connected to something so much bigger than you, beyond time and space. And now someone has a very mediocre scope of understanding about life, and he's just bragging that he found a contradiction in the Torah. You know, give me a break. You have a curse. And what's a curse? That you cannot see the blessing. And what you see is only a curse. Basically, and that's a curse, which means the fact that you're not capable of seeing the universal message that is behind all the stories of the Torah, all the mitzvot of the Torah, and you cannot see the scope that basically the Torah is the code for the whole universe, for the creation, and more than that creation, for a code for us humans, how to connect to that soul of the Torah, and by that to be connected to a greater story than just, my little tiny story, a speck of a dust of because, me, myself, just my life is nothing unless I connected it to a greater story than my life, the story of the Torah, the journey of humanity to generate the creator within, to find the illumination of the great story of the creation, and to experience it on my own while walking on that journey and devoting myself into the values of the Torah. Therefore, when I'm speaking about it, I'm talking about the ability to see beyond. And what is it about? Do we really have free will? Could I really choose or make a decision? What if all of these stories, what if I decided to go on that day to the right and not to the left, to stay home and not to go for a journey, to go for a journey and not to stay home? Like, what is the real decision? How do I know what decision to make? How do I know to stay away from mistakes? And the sages are saying in the Ethics of the Fathers, Hakol bidei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim. Everything is given into the decision of the heavens, except from awe of heavens, yirat shamayim. And here we go back to awe. There's something about it that when I come to make a decision, if you really understand what Professor Daniel Kahneman got the Nobel Prize for, and many other researchers of the human brain, most big part of our decisions are already a result of the way we are programmed, which means sooner or later, artificial intelligence will be able to predict our choices. It's doing it, by the way, already now, when the algorithms of the internet can show me different ads based on my previous behavior, and that system could tell what can they sell me. Can they sell me diamonds, or I'm looking for a house, or maybe I'm looking for music, or maybe I'm looking for something else, or any kind of entertainment. And the AI today can read me and understand what I feel, what I think, and what are my choices and how I'm going to choose. Okay, this is very scary. I don't think people are scared enough because they don't realize how transparent we are to the, how should I say, to the clouds of the great big companies, that all our moves are really known to them. They know what we read, what we like, what we don't like. They know how do we express. They know our history. They know our preferences, our age. They know everything about us. They know about us much more than we think we know about ourselves. And therefore, they can predict this way or another our choices. Now, when we are talking about God Almighty, that is much bigger than an AI. We know that we are programmed to make most of the decisions. Most of the decisions we make along the day, we think we make a decision, but we do not. It's not free will. It is a very basic programming that make us prefer option A over option B or option B over option A. Because we are programmed, most of the time we're not aware of it, but we are not making choices. We follow a predetermined agenda that most of the times we're not really aware of it. And today, therefore, it is very easy to program people to have an agenda. We don't understand, when we are using the internet and the social media, it is free. And whoever knows that area knows that whatever is free, we are the product, which means while we use the internet and the social media, all of these browsers, whatever you call them, the great, huge clouds, they learn each one of us. The computer understands, the AI learns us, and that system can predict our choices when we are not even aware that we are being measured, that we are already becoming a list of numbers and equations, and usually the system knows exactly how to manipulate us to think what the system wants us to think. It could be a political agenda. It could be shopping, buying, could be a lot of other stuff, okay? Consuming to make us to consume certain services or products. All of that. Still, we are not even aware how fragile is our existence because there are some systems that know about us, so much about us, that I don't know we even understand the scope of the power they have over us to manipulate our behavior, our opinions, and our decision making. How can we become independent? And the answer is simple. I go back to the creation. When God created the heaven and the earth, He created us in His image. And in His image, the image of the Creator means He created us with a need like Him to be independent, in total control of our lives, to be creative, and to be sharing beings. Therefore, the world was created later on in purposely in a way that it is a challenging journey, a journey that you never know what to choose. And in order to choose the right thing, you have to overcome all kind of belief systems, all kind of agenda, all kind of fears, phobias, lust, desires, and so on that are embedded into our being. The moment we start to understand it, to be aware of it, we maybe then we start to have what we call free will. But more than all of it, the highest level of free will is when we develop awe. And what is awe? It's another way of being a seer. We know a seer, a prophet, is called Haroeh, the one who sees, a seer. Okay? When do we reach that level? Because the Torah is giving us, in this parasha, very clear instruction, chapter 12. These are the laws that you should observe. And the first thing is you have to remove all of the place of idol worshiping of the people that inhabited the land before you took over. But when you come to the Lord your God, verse 5, chapter 12, כי אם אל המקום אשר יבחר אדוני אלוהיכם מכל שבטיכם, לשום את שמו שם לשכנו, תדרשו ועד השמה. You're going to come to the place that God will choose from all of your assets of your tribes. God will choose one location, ha-makom, the place. And you will bring your offerings over to that place. What is that place? So we read in Parashat Vayera, you can hear the similarities. Parashat Re'eh means see, Vayera, and he who has been seen. Okay, that's the meaning of the word Vayera. Genesis 22. And in Genesis 22, Parashat Vayera, there's a story of the binding of Isaac. Abraham is taking his son, Isaac, And he goes to the land of Moriah to bring him as an offering on one of the mounts. Vayashkem Avam baboker, and Abraham got up early in the morning, and he saddled his ass. He takes his two boys with him and Yitzchak, and then he goes to, I'm reading Genesis 22, verse 3, and he got up and he went to the place, the place. So the word where to call that special place that Isaac was almost sacrificed on Mount Moriah, okay, is called Hamakom, the place. And here in this parasha, again, the same word exactly is being used. Where are you going to bring your offerings? Where are you going to build your temple? Ba makom, in the place. I'm going to show you. Later on, there's some more guidance and mitzvot related to that. But on chapter 13, it says something very clear. את כל הדבר שאנוכי מצווה אתכם, אותו תשמרו לעשות. The whole thing that I am giving to you, ordering you, you will observe to do. Observe consciousness, to do physical actions. Has to be observed in both realms. לא תוסף עליו, do not add upon it, ולא תיגע ממנו. Do not remove anything out of it. Okay, why is that so important? Because, verse 2, כי יקום בקרבך נביא או חולם חלום. And they will come, and amongst you there will rise a prophet or someone who has a dream. ונתן אליך אות ומופת, is going to make some wonders to show you he is right. However, listening to that seer, Navi, seer, somebody who sees, somebody who can bring the words from above to below, okay? If that seer, if that prophet tells you to follow other gods, we have a problem. לא תשמע את דברי הנביא ההוא. Do not listen to that, to the words of this prophet. כי מנסה אדוני אלוהיכם אתכם לדעת האישכם אוהבים את השם אלוקיכם. Because God is trying you, testing you, to know, do you really follow your God, or you're going to follow anyone making wonders that is more entertaining? Yeah, God made amazing miracles, 10 plagues, splitting the Red Sea, Mount Sinai revelation, but now it's over. We have the Torah with the stories. I want to experience it myself. So if someone will come and make some tricks with all kinds of cards, and I don't know what, and the tricks will be amazing, I'll follow him. Okay? Do not do that. Because that prophet, false prophet, was sent by God to test you. Do you really follow God, or you following whatever is entertaining? And therefore, verse 5, chapter 13 says, "Acharei Adonai Elohechem telechu." You will follow the Lord your God. V'oto tirau, you will have awe of him. ואת מצוותיו תשמעו, when you observe his mitzvot, ובקולו תשמעו, you should listen to his voice. And it goes on and so on and so forth. However, whoever comes and claims to be a seer, that he sees stuff and he's going to make all kind of wonders, he's going to tell you which stock is going to go the best during the next month. He's going to tell you all kinds of other things like this. If your wife is pregnant with a baby boy or baby girl, okay? The chances are 50-50, so you don't have so many chances to make a mistake. What do you do with that kind of a prophet that comes and makes a lot of like abracadabra and making even miracles? But the moment he's asking you to stop following the laws of the Torah, he's basically speaking evil about the Lord your God that took you out of Egypt. And God said on Mount Sinai, observe the Shabbat. So if that prophet comes and says, after so many miracles, he brings like a whole huge table full out of nowhere, full of food out of nowhere. Wow! He is resurrecting the dead. He's doing so many miracles, but he tells you that, you don't have to observe the Torah. It's just a recommendation. Okay? What should be done? That is your test. This is your trial. Are you going to listen to him because he is doing miracles right now and the Torah did miracles only many years ago? Or are you following? Basically, who are you devoted to? Who do you really believe in? And what should be done with that prophet, this false prophet that tells you to go off course? Of course, he has to be removed from the way so he does not convince other people. But that's not easy. History is full of this kind of people that came, oh, I had a dream. You know what? The Torah was amazing. Obsolete. We have a new one. Follow us. Who told you the new one? Oh, I had a dream. The Torah, we all dreamt it on Mount Sinai together. Okay? And if not, tell me, and it's a lie, tell me when the lie did start. Okay, you must see some commentaries and some evidences for the dispute that somebody brought the Torah out of nowhere and imposed it over us. So again, how do I see? How do I really see? So there's something very important to remember on chapter 14, verse 1. Banim atem ladonai Elohechem. You are the sons of the Lord your God. Okay, very simple. Behave yourself. If you are the son of God, each one of you is the son of God, which means you have to assume position. You have to behave as such. Otherwise, people won't relate to you as such. You have to believe in it. You have to follow it. You have to be devoted to that idea. You'll have the time for it, okay? But you have to do it. You have to be devoted to it. Banim atem ladonai Elohechem, you are the sons of the Lord your God. So, of course, you have to behave as such. Why is that so important? This is very crucially important because one of the major idea in the Kabbalistic terms of free will is that, yeah, everything inside us is programmed. We are programmed by our environment, especially today, the electronic environment. We are being influenced by our family, close family, teachers at school, stuff like this. Some of us have a lower charisma, so they affect us less. Some have very strong charisma, they affect us more. But the idea is the same idea. We are being imprinted by a certain ways of thinking along our lives. Sometimes it could be by criminals. Sometimes you hear about this teacher that was arrested because of harassment of, you know, you never know. How do you know where to send your kids to school? How do you make it really safe that you don't have a pedophile like being the teacher? Like this is I remember when as a parent sending my kids to elementary school, you go crazy. You have no idea how I'm going to protect them. And the idea is like this, as I said again. How do I know what kind of a decision to make? Do I really have the ability to change the course of my history? And the answer is yes. As it says in the Zohar, that even though there is a decree that someone is going to die, and as a decree cannot change the decree, if that someone connects to the Torah, connects through prayer and study, and transforms himself, he can even reverse a double death sentence, and he will live. How do we do that? So we learn when you study Kabbalah, one of the most powerful ideas is when we make a research of ourselves and we realize that we do have an agenda because certain things we hate without thinking even about it. Certain things we love even without thinking about it. Certain uh, kind of people we stay away from as an instinct. Other kind of people are drawn to them as an instinct. Are we aware of what draws us to other people? This kind and this kind and this kind. Are we aware of it? Are we aware of the agenda that we have behind it? If we can simply search within ourselves, what do I really feel? Is it a feeling that I need to commemorate, even not just justify and align with, but also to idol it, to worship it, that emotion? When we do that, that's called idol worshiping. So what's left for us? And then we go back, Akol bidei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim. Everything is in the head of heavens, except from awe of heavens, which means when we are facing any kind of a challenge in our lives, the challenges are there to give us the ability to be creators. To be creators, it means that you have to step up, take the challenge, and make it happen, no matter what it is. If your mind is associated with the Torah, you're occupied with the Torah. It doesn't matter what you do, if they're in the Himalayas or deep in the depths of the ocean. When you're facing a challenge because you are committed, what does it mean? When it says, Banim atem Hashem Elokechem, you are God's sons. And what is Zohar saying? When you give the factory for the son to run, you have danger because your son cares about it too much. He will, he will simply, for every little tiny penny, he's going to torture all the workers about how would that happen. And then he's going to make a terrible decision that will cost him the loss of the whole project. How does that happen? And the answer is, as long as we are run by our old emotions, reactive emotions, embedded emotions, like, some people can stand uh, anything that compromise their privacy, their space. Some people, it's the money. Some people, it's exposing their emotions to others. Every person has his own, place in which he feels vulnerable. So the point is, when I'm vulnerable, how do I react? And when I react with a whole negative emotions, array of negative emotions, and I succumb to it, I let it control myself, my behavior, my decision making, I am stuck in the same old me. However, when I study myself and I study Torah and I can say as what I can say stop to the emotions, to the thinking, to the decision making. I don't know. I don't know what's right. However, I am God's son. or daughter. I know that my Father in heaven is watching me every second. I know that He's not just watching me, He is connected to me every second whenever I like to. I just have to open up to Him. And how do I do that? That's called the awe of heaven. When I am being controlled by fears, lust, anger, revenge, whatever emotions that we humans possess, thank God, it's a whole lot of them. And every issue, everything that happens arouses all kinds of ancient emotions that bother us for who knows how long. And why do they come up to the surface through that event, whatever event that is happening right now? Because that's their job, to awaken those emotions and state of mind so we can take control. What does it mean to take control? A, stop the reaction. Disassociate yourself from the reactions. Watch them, do not join them. Watch them, stay away from them. Do not associate yourself with them. Then try to connect to the awe of God. Here we're talking about the godly awareness. What's the godly awareness? So the Zohar is teaching us the godly awareness is when we realize in the moment that we're in pain, in anger, fear, lust, obsession, anything that by nature is obsessive compulsive, and we simply see ourselves again and again drifting in a journey that we know never ends well. So instead of being victims to that journey, we stop the journey and we connect one thing to the awareness of, of the greatness of God. You know what they say? Many times, instead of telling God about how great your troubles are, tell your troubles how great God is. Which means if I'm focusing over the greatness of the Creator, when I'm focusing over the power of the Creator, that He basically gives the bliss, the power, the life force to everything around us and inside us. Everything is run by God. Everything is nourished by God. Everything exists only thanks to God. And that's today we have amazing examples. For instance, I think the best example is electricity. We all have electricity in our homes. Without electricity, we will suffer terribly of the weather, most of us, because most of us need an AC system to warm when it's cold and to cool when it is too hot. What will we do without electricity? The same electricity is also cooking for us, baking for us, giving us light when we need it, and many, 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 many other services. But it's all that one electricity that is in the wires in the wall. Do we see electricity running in the wires? No, but we know there's some power in it. We know that that power can save somebody's life. It can kill also other person's life, the same electricity. So what do? We respect electricity. We don't play with it too much. We have a kind of a very primitive awe of the power of the electricity. Therefore, we don't play with electricity too much. Why? We know it's so powerful. You don't want to play with it, otherwise you're going to be hurt or you're going to hurt your household. Things are going to get on fire if you're not responsible and careful. Same thing when we realize that the life force of God, which is infinite, is infiltrating into every atom on this in this universe. He's giving the life to each atom, to each molecule, to each more complex structures. Basically, it nourishes everything. And that means it's much more powerful than electricity. Do we really respect that power that created the universe and is still nourishing our existence every second by second? If we do that and we realize to have awe of the Creator, which means it's a fear and love entangled together. I'm afraid to transgress the rules of the universe. I know they are very powerful. I know that they can kill me if I make the wrong move. We don't blame the power company in case somebody is electrocuted. We just blame the ignorance that made him do that. Okay? The power company is just giving us power. God is just giving us the life force through the tree of life. Now the question is, do we step up to the plate? Do we take responsibility, and what does it mean? When I feel that I'm being swayed, I'm being drifting in the ocean of emotions, and I'm losing my control, and I stop that, and I arouse the awe that everything is connected to the Creator. And when I let the awe of God to take over, I have a different agenda. My agenda is tikkun olam. My agenda is to fulfill the mission of humanity. And what's the mission of humanity? Tikkun olam. We're here to make the world better. How do we do that? Do we go right now and fight against evil? No, first you have to go in to fight against your own evil before you fight the evil outside. This is very risky. This is very powerful. But when we connect to that, we have awe, which means we have the awareness how the Creator is nourishing all his creation, every aspect of his creation. When we do that, our agenda is changing because we see things now differently. And when we see it differently, we're seeing it from a higher step on the level, on the ladder of awareness. And every time we stop the reaction, we stop the old emotions that do not serve us, and we connect to the awe of God, which means, on one hand, it is huge respect to the power that surrounds everything, fills up everything, nourishes everything, and gives everything its life at the same exact moment. It could be a little ant, an elephant, or a whale in the ocean, the biggest animals and the smallest of them all. Could be a bacteria, a virus, or just an atom. All of them exist because and thanks to the light force of God flowing through all of it. Do I respect that force? Do I acknowledge that force? Do I have that awareness of that force? And when I'm finding myself part of that awareness, I realize that hating somebody is playing with fire. That keeping grudge to somebody is really severing my connection with the light of God. Uh, you come out with different conclusions. When you simply connect yourself to the network of the Creator, the main point of connecting to the network, as the Torah is saying, is the place that the Torah speaks about. And what is this place? You know the story, Genesis 22. And Abram got up in the morning and he goes to that place. And then on the third day, I'm reading verse 4. Abram raises his eyes, Vayar, and he sees the place from afar. Okay, there I make, you know the story. He comes to the place, he builds the altar, and then he binds Isaac, his son, over the altar. Then he sends his hand, stretches his hand to slaughter his son. And in verse 11, Vayikra elav malach Adonai mishamayim, the angel of God calls him from the heavens, and he says, Avraham, Avraham, Vayomer hineni, here I am. Here I am, hineni means, here I am, I have no agenda. I'm here, my Lord. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. Wherever you want to send me, send me. I'm yours. I'm your son. You are my father. I'm your servant. You are my master. I will follow without questioning, without thinking, whatever you tell me. An angel says, do not send your hand to the lad. Do not do anything to him. Because now I know, that's verse 12, that you have the awe of God. That moment, Abraham connected to Yir'ah. Yir'ah makes you see. And suddenly, Abraham realizes that he does not have to slaughter his son. Not because he was afraid to lose his son, his only son, from Sarah, but because he connected to the greater picture. He saw, suddenly, he saw a sight that prophets see. How do we know? Vaisava mitenav, and Abraham raises his eyes, verse 13. Vayar, and he sees again. Vayar, again he sees. And he sees a ram. Ail achar, another ram. What do I mean, another? Was there? But the Zohar is explaining, achar means he sees the dark side. Whole represented by a ram, holding to the thicket with his horns. Holding to the thicket, caught in the thicket. No, it says holding to the thicket. The thicket in Hebrew means also getting messed up. It is whenever we follow the dark side, we get messed up into the agenda of the dark side. And then we become the servants of the dark side. We're serving the agenda of the dark side. Abram takes that ram and brings him as an offering instead of his son. This one is going to go on fire. And then the most amazing one, verse 14, Vayikra Avram Shem HaMakom. And Abram calls the place, again, the place, the code, and from now on, it's not just the place. How does he call the place? Adonai Yir'eh, God will see, Asher Yamer Hayom Behar Adonai Yir'eh. Whatever will be said in this mount will be seen. Again, the word Yir'eh, Yir'ah, awe, appears again and again. He calls the place awe. The Midrash, Bereshit Rabbah, is saying, when is that you really have a true awe? When you are facing a true completion. And that's why the Midrash is saying, where was that? It was in Jerusalem. Where in Jerusalem? On the Temple Mount. Where on the Temple Mount? Where we call the Holy of Holies, on the foundation stone. Abraham said, now I know that when you're standing here, you connect, you feel, you are aware of that place, awe-inspiring place. When Jacob, a generation later, sleeps over this place, he doesn't realize it's the place. He wakes in the morning, says, how awesome is this place? מה נורא המקום הזה? אין זה כי אם זה בית אלוקים. This must be the house of the Lord. וזהו שער השמיים. And this is the gate of heavens. What do you mean the gate of heavens? So the Midrash Rabbah says, you feel real, authentic awe when you're facing completion. So when every time we're facing chaos, and I can shut down the chaos and soar upwards, ascend upwards to God's awareness, how from God's point of view, everything is complete. Everything has its own place. Even evil serves a purpose. Nothing is outside of the network. So when you have this awe of the completion, יראה שלם, יראה שלם ירושלים. This is Jerusalem. This is the heart of Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies, the foundation stone. This is where the heaven kisses the earth. That's where you have to go when you pray, with your mind, if you cannot go physically. Because when you go there and you feel that awe, you can ascend, soar upwards, and transform yourself and the world around you. Only then you have free will. The free will is not what to do. The free will is connecting to feeling a whole with the Tree of Life network, or still being in the fragmentation, the illusion of fragmentation, where nothing is correct, where nothing flows with nothing else. In a world of chaos, that's the other side, the dark side. Our choice is which side do we want to go? The side that is complete, Yerushalayim, Yereh Shalem, the side that you can feel if you really meditate on it every moment or many moments along the day. Do you feel that? When you feel that, you have a different agenda. You can see outside the box. You will have the right idea. Like Abraham, he was sure he needs to slaughter his son. However, when he raised his mind and his consciousness to the awareness of Yirah, he realized that he'd done enough. Binding Isaac was enough. The next stage was not necessary. He's done it already. And that's why it's not surprising that Parashat that Parashat Re'eh ends in the following words. Chapter 16, verse 15, 16 also. שלוש פעמים בשנה, 3 times a year, ייראה כל זכורך. Every male of you will be seen, ייראה, but it's exactly the same letters of יראה, awe. Will be seen in front of the face of the Lord your God. במקום אשר יבחר, in the place he will choose, Jerusalem. חג המצות, the holiday of the Matzot, Passover. חג השבועות, the holiday of the 7 weeks. And חג הסוכות, the holiday of the tabernacles. ולא יראה את פני אדוני ריקם. It should not be seen empty-handed. You have to come and bring in your hard work of tikkun that brought you to be in that place and to feel that awe. And when you feel that awe, it replaces the fear, the confusion. It replaces the low thinking that gives a low agenda that reads everything in a very low scripture. It's a different movie. You switch to a higher movie. Now that you are in awe and you can see the whole picture, you know what to choose. You don't know many times why. Why? You know later, but you don't mind. You know what to do. And you do what is not logical, but what is right. This is basically a very important message, the message of what is free will. How awareness makes you a source of light for the whole world, like the sun. The sign of Leo, the sun is in the middle, the sun shines to the whole solar system. Same thing, the person with awe has the power to show the road, to show the awareness to everybody around. Will all of us be able to assume position, take over that position, and show people there's another way? That's a highway, the real way, the way of the King of the universe. Thank you so much and good luck to us all.